Hello, and a warm welcome to our show, Love Athletics. In this program, we bring you the latest highlights from our sport with expert input from different continental areas. Now, we don't have a guest for the whole show today, but Kenyan journalist Mutwiri Mutuota has sent a couple of videos discussing key events. So it's been another amazing fortnight of athletics. Let's check out what's been happening in our sport over the last 2 weeks, starting with the magnificent Prefontaine Classic Diamond League meeting in Eugene on 5 July. It was a truly exceptional 50th edition of Pre-Classic. Stellar fields had been assembled, including 17 reigning Olympic champions, and the results lived up to expectations. 2 world records, 1 more area record, a total of 8 world leads, one of which was equaled, 4 Diamond League records, and 7 meet records were all set at Hayward Field. And we start, of course, with the world records. The first came in the 5,000 meters. Beatrice Chebet had announced her intentions after running 14:03 in Rome, declaring, "Soon I will be going for a time under 14." And the double Olympic champion did it in her next race, returning to the site of her surprise 10,000 meters world record to break another barrier, becoming the first woman to run the distance in under 14 minutes. From 2,000 meters, as the pacemakers pulled out, Chebet was always in the lead trio, which also included Gudaf Segai and Agnes Jebet-Ngetic. It seemed, however, that the world record was slipping away as the trio dropped off the green lights. But that was without counting Chebet's amazing finish. With 200 meters to go, the double Olympic champion sprinted away, leaving Segai so stunned she was even passed by Ngetic, while Chebet, whose last lap was a super fast 61 seconds, concluded her effort in a fabulous world record of 13:58.06, slashing over 2 seconds off the previous mark, set in 2023 on the same track by Segai, as her compatriot Ngetic finished in 14:01.29 to move to number 3 in the all-time lists, and Segai clocked 14:04.41. The other world record came in the 1,500 meters. Now, when the event had been moved to last race of the meet, that meant something special was in the works. And again, expectations were not disappointed. Pacemaker Sage Herta Klecker was smack on, and she led the group through 800 meters in 2:03. Then Faith Kipyegon took control, as Jessica Hull remained glued to the triple Olympic champion, and Diribe Welteji was right behind. But at 300 meters to go, Kipyegon just took off, her lead getting wider and wider, and she concluded in a stunning 3:48.68 world record. Welteji overtook a fading Hull to close in 3:51.44, and the Australian clocked 3:52.67. Now, as with Chebet over 5,000, a 49:02 last lap allowed Kipyegon to improve her own world record, shaving 0.36 seconds off the previous best, which she had set a year ago in Paris. And it must have been especially gratifying for Kipyegon, who a week earlier had fallen well short of the declared objective of running a sub-4-minute mile in the much-hyped Breaking 4 project. Now, given the fantastic performances by Chebet and Kipyegon, we had to ask for a comment from a Kenyan journalist. Here is what Mutwiri Mutuota has to say.
Thank you, Anna, for inviting me to Love Athletics, the show that speaks about our beloved sport in track and field. Today, I'm privileged to speak about 2 magnificent Kenyan girls Faith Kipyegon and Beatrice Chebet, who set world records in the 1500 meters and 5000 meters at the Prefontaine Classic in Eugene, Oregon. These girls have not only shown their star power at home, but they can also go to the biggest stage, the biggest field in track and field in America, and perform in front of a global audience and a very passionate crowd at Hayward Field. Let's start with Chebet. Chebet stopped the clock at a staggering 13 minutes 58.06 seconds. This made her the first woman to run the 5,000 meters under 14 minutes. A few years ago, this was a mark that was seen beyond the reach of the best who have ever done the business. I'm talking about the likes of Tirunesh Dibaba, Meseret Defar, Vivian Cheruiyot, and all the other great 5,000, 10,000 meter runners that we've witnessed in history. For her to do it at 24, in what is essentially her third season as a senior, is quite simply remarkable. Chebet not only just hammered the clock, but the kind of field she beat the former world record holder Gudaf Segai of Ethiopia. Of course, there was also Ruth Ngetich, her Kenyan compatriot, who recently set a world record in the 10-kilometer road race. And for her to go out there and bring the hammer down now makes her the owner of the 10,000 meters and 5,000 meters world record. And that is the first Kenyan to ever done that in the history of the sport in this country that has given so much to track and field. Also at 24, she's also a major at the Kenya Defense Forces. That is an age that you don't expect many to get to reach such ranks in the army. It shows that even her employers, the Kenya Defense Forces, recognize and are true testament of her talent. As we head towards the countdown to Tokyo, Japan, she has indicated that her big wish is to win her first world title. When she was speaking, and she was saying that it's the only thing missing in her collection. By becoming the first Kenyan double gold medalist last year, not only did she push the boundaries of history, she get Kenya to uncharted waters. And now, it's staggering to imagine that the world title is what is missing in her closet with a career that has blossomed in the last 3 seasons. And what can we say about Kipyegon? One of my friends, James Okabi, wrote in The Nation, the newspaper that is the biggest here in Kenya, that faith owns the world and we are privileged enough to live in her world. The same way they say in Polvot that it is Mondo's world. I think middle distance running for women, it's all about faith. Yes, she came to this event 1 week after she failed, or she came agonizing close depending on how you look at it, to become the first person to run the first woman to run the mile under 4 minutes. Although this was not a world record eligible event, the fact that she ran the fastest miles in history was a testament of her form. It's only that at that time, or on that occasion in Paris, the occasion was too much. The cameras, the gaze, the promotions, the documentaries and everything. 1 week later, without all the cameras and everything that came with the razzmatazz for the breaking 4 attempt, she turned to her faith, what we know. And she not only blasted away, she broke her world record by 0.36 that was set in Paris last year. And having become the first athlete in track and field to win the same event 3 times in the Olympics, and also the first Kenyan to become a 3-time Olympic champion, she's now gunning to be the first Kenyan to win 5 global titles in Japan. For these 2 girls, we can only tip the hat off to them. Kudos and congratulations.
Thank you, Mutuiri. Let's continue with the other great performances at pre-classic. Now, the 3,000 meter women's steeplechase did not produce a world record, but it was a race of great depth and quality, with Bahrain's Winfried Yavi clocking 8:45.25, the third fastest time in history, behind Beatrice Chepkoech's 2018 world record and her own mark from last August, with Kenya's Faith Cherotich clocking 8:48.71 and Uganda's Peros Chemutai, who had led much of the race, finishing third in 8:51.77, as 2 other ladies also finished under 9 minutes for the first time ever. Moving on to the throws, Valerie Allman had been in splendid shape this year, and she again showed her dominance, sending her discus sailing out to 70 meters 68, the 3rd best mark of the season. Allman has not lost a competition since the 2023 World Championships final, and now has a win streak of 28 events. Now, all the headlines were for the women's world records, but the men also produced some amazing performances in Eugene. First and foremost, the 400-meter hurdles, where two men who trust the 5 best performances of the season faced off once again with Brazil's Alison dos Santos, the world champion here in 2022, narrowly defeating Ray Benjamin 46.65 to 46.71, while Nigeria's Ezekiel Nathaniel, who is the most consistent sub-48 performer this year, was third in 47.88. Now, we spoke earlier about Valerie Allman, but it was indeed a great day for the throws, as top performances were achieved also in the men's and women's hammer and shot put events, with the highlight coming from the men's shot put, won by double world champion Joe Kovacs with 22 meters 48, as in another first time ever, 5 men threw over 22 meters. So, as well as Kovacs, we had Roger Steen with 22.11, Chukwuebuka Enekwechi with 22.10, Adrian Piperi with 22.09, and Jamaica's Rajendra Campbell with 22.04. Now, Enekwechi's mark was an African record for the Nigerian, adding 13 centimeters to his continental best, to the continental best that had belonged to South Africa's Janos Roberts since 2001, and adding 19 centimeters to his own PB. The women's contest was also of a very high level, led by another double world champion, Chase Jackson, with 20 meters 94, just 1 centimeter shy of her PB and national record, which she had set very recently, as 5 ladies also threw beyond 20 meters for the first time since 1988. And finally, in a superb meet where middle distances and long distances and throws overshadowed the sprints, we must talk about the men's Bowerman Mile. Yared Nuguse led most of the way, closely followed by the revelation of 2025, France's Azedine Habs, and the pair had accumulated a lead of some 15 meters on the chasing pack. But the Netherlands' Niels Laros came powering down the home straight to sprint past a fading Habs at 50 meters and pip Nuguse right on the finish line, closing in 3:45.94 to 3:45.95. Habs closed in 3:46.65, but still placed ahead of Olympic champion Cole Hawker with 3:47.43. Now Laros, who is only in his first year as a senior, had also won the 5,000 meters at the European Team Championships in similar late surge over a quality field just 6 days earlier. Now, with so many amazing performances, it comes as no surprise that Eugene now leads the World Athletics Competition Performance ranking for invitational and open competitions, with a huge 92,121 points, which is the highest ever score for a one-day meeting. Now, 6 days later, the Diamond League was back with the Hercules meeting in Monaco on 11 July. A total of 3 area records, 3 world leads, one of which equaled, and 3 meet records were set in Monaco. The men's 800 meters featured a splendid field and did indeed produce the best performance of the meet. Olympic champion Emmanuel Wanyonyi was even ahead of world record pace at the bell and had a comfortable lead, but the rhythm faded in the final stages as the pack closed in on the Kenyan, who still had a good winning margin, closing in 1:41.44, as the revelation of the year, world indoor champion Josh Hoey, clocked a 1:42.01 PB for second, overtaking Algeria's Jamel Sedjati, 1:42.20, who had set the meet record here last year, a mark now improved by Wanyonyi. 6 athletes ran under 1 minute 43. In fourth place, Australia's Peter Ball signed an Oceania record of 1:42.55, knocking 1.24 seconds off the continental best he had set just last April. And again, with such a transformation taking place in the 800 since last year, we had to ask Mutwiri for his thoughts on the evolution of the event. Here is Mutwiri's reply.
Anna, as we continue discussing in this episode of Love Athletics, let's turn to the 800 meters, one of the races that I think will be the most exciting to watch this year. You just need to look at the world list to see the kind of nationalities. Of course, the world leader is Wanyonyi, the 1:41.44. He continues to threaten the record set by his compatriot and my good friend David Rudisha of 1:40.91, and is keeping on knocking on that door. But of course, he went to the top of the world list because of his magnificent performance in Paris. We also have Josh Hui. We have from US, we have Jamal Shadati, the bronze medalist from Paris, from Algeria. We have Peter Ball, a very good sensation from Australia, of course, with roots in Southern Sudan, but he's gone to Australia and is making quite a good name for himself there. We have Sefiso Maselela from Botswana, who had the pleasure of watching run at the Kipyegon Classic, and is also there as number 5 in the world. We have Gabriel Toua from France, and of course Mohamed Atoui from Spain. Meko Arop, of course, the silver medalist from Paris last year, also in the top 10. And we have Slimane Mouala from Algeria and another American, Bryce Topper, who complete the top 10. If you look at all these nationalities, we have USA, Algeria, Canada, Spain, France, Botswana, Australia, and Kenya. You see, the gold medal could go to any of these countries, and any of these countries can hope to have a gold medal in Tokyo, because we expect these runners to be there and to be also in good shape. So this is shaping up to be one of the truly global events this year in track and field. And that is the beauty of athletics. Make it global, because we see in other distance races from 10,000, 5,000 and marathon, all the way we have a strong East African dominance. But in this race, anyone from East Africa, whether you're from North Africa, whether you're from Spain, Europe, and all that, you have a chance. That is why, to me, this is the most exciting race to watch, and is one definitely that I'll be keeping my eye on.
Thank you, Mutwiri. Now, Mondo Duplantis, of course, has a stranglehold on the world record. And now, after Monaco, he also owns the meet records of all but 2 Diamond League meets, as he chalked up yet another victory with 6 meters 05. His 10th competition this year at 6 meters or more. Greece's Emmanuel Karalis and Australia's Curtis Marshall both cleared 5 meters 92, with Karalis earning praise from Duplantis after what the Swede defined some really good attempts at 6 meters 10. Among the women, the very best result came from 2023 400-meter hurdles world champion Femke Bol, with a world-leading 51.95. As behind her, former Olympic and world champion and former world record holder Dalila Mohammed clocked an excellent 52.58, her best mark since 2021. Dalila, please don't retire. In the rarely run 1,000 meters, Kenya's Nelly Chepchirchir chalked up her 4th straight Diamond League victory. The Kenyan had let Australia's Jessica Hull slot in behind the pacemaker, and the ladies were under world record pace at 800 as Chepchir surged ahead. But the rhythm then slowed down, with Chepchirchir closing in 2:29.77 to move to number 4 in the all-time lists. Behind the winner, The USA's Addison Wiley had overtaken Hull in the final stages to set a North America, Central America, and Caribbean record of 2:30.71, improving her own mark from last year. In third place, Hull added another Oceania record to her name. Her 2:30.96 takes 2 seconds off the continental best, which her compatriot Abbey Caldwell had set last year in Xiamen behind Faith Kipyegon. Now, while the men's 200 meters was not the most impressive result of the evening, there had been much anticipation for the return of Noah Lyles, who had not competed since 19 April due to minor issues, injury with his ankle, and was a late addition at the Hercules meet. The triple world champion at the distance made a remarkable return, pulling away from Olympic champion Letsile Tebogo, who had run a then world lead in Eugene, for a comfortable win in 19.88, as Tebogo was not at his best with 19.97, just 200ths ahead of Zimbabwe's Olympic finalist Makanakaishe Charamba, who has shone in the US college circuit all year. And over the same distance, early in the meet, Australian prodigy Gout had comfortably won the under 23 non-Diamond League 200 meters race in 20.10, which is a very good result considering it was run into a headwind of minus 1.9 meters per second. So that's it for Diamond League. Regarding other events in Europe, we must mention the Decastars in Talence, part of the World Combined Events Tour on 5 and 6 July. Among the women, victory went to Colombia's Marta Araujo with 6,451 points, just 24 less than the area record she had set a month earlier in Götzis, when placing third in the heptathlon, won by Anna Hull with a fabulous 7,032 points. Americans Talia Brooks with 6,365 and Michelle Atherley, 6,283, completed the podium. Among the men, another Latin American, Puerto Rico's Aiden Owens de Lerma, took the decathlon win with 8,478 points, again just 12 points below his score from Götzis. Estonia's Johannes Erm with 8,236 and Kendrick Thompson of the Bahamas, 8,177, finished second and third. There were other good results in European track meets, and we will mention the best ones in the top marks section. One, however, did produce an area record. At the Cork City Sports meet in Cork on 9 July, Uruguay's Valentin Soca ran 7:37.10 in the 3,000 meters. This is 3 seconds slower than the indoor area record Soca had set in March in Boston. Now, with Soca, who has set 2 excellent indoor South American records over both 3,000 and 5,000 this winter, and Santiago Catrofe, who has set continental marks over the 5 and 10K road races this year, as well as other good performances on the track, Uruguay is living in an unprecedented El Dorado in athletics. Now, we must talk about US meets, in particular, the excellent results recorded at the Ed Murphy Classic on 12 July. There was some great sprinting with a new 200 meters world lead of 19.73 by Timars McCallum, who also ran a fast 100 meters in a windy 9.87 with the wind just above the legal limit at 2.1 meters per second. In the women's 200 meters, Mackenzie Long ran the second fastest race of the season with 21.93, ahead of Nigeria's Favour Ofili in 22 flat. Alicia Johnson ran an excellent 100-meter hurdles in 12:32, as well as a windy 12:27 with the earlier in the meet, with the wind just above the legal limit, again plus 2.1 meters per second. But the most interesting result came from 17-year-old Quincy Wilson, who won the 400 meters in 44.10, taking 1/10 of a second off his previous world under-18 best. And the mark is so good that it is also number 2 in the under-20 all-time lists and is the equal 4th on the senior list this year. So that's it for stadium events. Road races, there were no notable performance in the last 2 weeks, which is quite understandable at this time of the year. But race walks did produce interesting results. At the Dublin Race Walking Summer Challenge on 13 July, Mexico's Alegna Gonzalez won the women's 35K in 2 hours 44:28, ahead of compatriot Carla Jimena Serrano, 2:44:45, and Greece's double 2022 European champion, double European champion Antigone Drisbiotti. The winning mark, as we saw, was an area record for Gonzalez, slashing 5 seconds off the previous continental best, dating from 2022, which had been set by the USA's Robin Stevens, with Serrano also well under the previous record. So that concludes our review of the athletics competitions of the past fortnight. It's time now to go back to the global overview of our sport and check all the top results since the last show, starting with the senior men's events. And we will continue adding in brackets marks which are regular, which are listed in the respected athletics website Tilastopaya, but do not appear on the World Athletics list. So let's go with the men. Kishane Thompson, who has the 2 best marks of the year, produced another sizzling 100 meters race with 9.85 in Eugene, ahead of Zarnell Hughes with 9.91. Across the ocean in France, Nigeria's Kayinsola Ajayi equaled his seasonal best of 9.92 on 7 July at Sotteville-les-Rouen. Now, Tim Ars McCallum, we had said, had a windy 9.87 and now leads the 200 meters seasonal list with 19.73. Letsile Tebogo had run 19.76 in Eugene, ahead of Courtney Lindsay with 19.87. Then it was 19.88 for Noah Lyles in Monaco. Over 400 meters, Matthew Hudson Smith of Great Britain had run 44.10 in Eugene, and that performance, as we saw, was equaled by Quincy Wilson in Memphis to set a world under-18 best. There was also a 44.15 for Christopher Bailey in Eugene and a 44.31 for Jacori Patterson at the pre-classic. We spoke about the fabulous 800 meters race at Hercules meeting in Monaco with a world lead of 1:41.44 for Emmanuel Wanyonyi, that's worth a very high score of 1,285, ahead of Josh Hoey, 142.01, and Jamel Sejati, 142.20. Peter Bollo, 142.55 in an area record, as we saw. Canada's Marco Arop, 142.73, and Slimane Moula of Algeria, 142.86, all under 1 minute 43. Now, in the 1,500 meters, there's a very good mark in passing for Yared Nuguse, who was defeated in the Bowerman mile, but in passing on the 1,500, he had clocked 3:30.37. The mile, as we saw, was won by Netherlands' Niels Laros in 3:45.94 over Nuguse, and Azzedine Habs over Cole Hawker, 3:47.43. And there were 4 other runners under 3:48. In the 5,000 meters, Yomif Kejelcha clocked 12:49.46 in Monaco, his third best results of the season. He's been very, very good, while Jimmy Gressier was second behind Kejelcha with 12:53.46, ahead of Bahrain's Birhanu Balev, 12:53.51, and Germany's, that's a new name for me at least, Mohammed Abdillahi in 12:53.63. Over the 10,000 meters in Eugene, there was a major shakeup of the world lists, which had until then been trusted by the San Juan Capistrano race at the end of March. Under 20 athlete Binyam Mehari won the event in 26:43.82, ahead of compatriot, both Ethiopians, Verihu Aregawi, 26:43.84, and Selemon Barega, 26:44.13. So very good marks for the Ethiopians. Now we must remember that Eugene served as the trials for the World Championships for both Ethiopia and Kenya. So the top 3 Ethiopians will be heading to Tokyo, as will in the Kenyan team, Ismail Rokito Kip Kirui, who finished 4th with 26:47.72, and Benson Kiplagat, 26:50.00. Third among the Kenyans was Stanley Waithaka Mburu with 26:56.36, but the third place among for the Kenyan team is often decided by coaches, so it's not sure it will be Mburu. 3,000 meters steeplechase in Monaco, world leader Soufiane El Bakali clocked 8:03.18, and he had to fight really hard in the final stages as Japan's Ryuji Miura was coming back really strong and finished in 8:03.43. And behind them, Kenya's under 20 athlete Edmond Serem improved his PB to 8:04 flat. 110 hurdles. The best mark of the fortnight came from Switzerland's Jason Joseph in Luzern on 15 July. He equaled his 13:07 PB. In Monaco, Trey Cunningham had run 13:09 into a 0.9 headwind, ahead of Cordell Tinch with 13.14. 400 hurdles, we mentioned the fabulous race in Eugene with Alison Dos Santos this time defeating Rai Benjamin. Very, very high performance scores, 1,302 points for the Brazilian and 1,299 for Rai Benjamin. Very, very strong. And as we saw, Ezekiel Nathaniel with 47.88 was third. Mondo Duplantis, 6 meters 05 in Monaco, and he had also cleared 6 meters in Eugene. Emmanuel Caralis, 6 meters at the Fly Athens, the meeting he organizes in Athens on 6 July. 593 for Curtis Marshall in Athens. And as we saw, 592 for Caralis and Marshall in Monaco. Shot put, very, very good competition in Eugene, as we saw earlier, 22.48 for Joe Kovacs. There was also not in Eugene, but another mark over 22 meters for Leo Fabri on 13 June in Lignano. 22.11 for Roger Steen in Eugene, 22.10 for Chukwu Ebuka Enekwechi, area record, 22.09 as we saw Adrian Piperi, 22.04 Rajendra Campbell. Behind them, 21.92 for Peyton Otterdal. And another very good mark by Adrian Piperi, this one in Memphis on 12 July with 21.88. Now, in the discus, Mikolas Alekna, of course, had set a fabulous world record earlier in the year. He also has two other marks, 72.12 and 71.29 in May. In Eugene, he won the discus with 70 meters 97. In the hammer throw, also in Eugene, the USA's Rudy Winkler took the win with 83 meters 16. Surprising world champion, Canada's Ethan Katzberg, who threw 71.73. Best performances of the fortnight, Alison Dos Santos and Rai Benjamin in the 400 hurdles, as we saw, 1,302 and 1,299 points. Behind them, Emmanuel Wanyonyi in Monaco, that's worth 1,285. Mondo Duplantis, his 6 meters 05 is worth 1,281. And Joe Kovacs with 22.48, that's worth 1,269. Top men's performance of the year remains the world record by Mikolas Alekna in April, which is worth 1,347 points. So let's now check the best women's mark of the last 2 weeks. In the sprints in Eugene, very good 10.75 for world leader Melissa Jefferson Wooden, who defeated Olympic champion Julian Alfred, who ran 10.77. Julian Alfred also ran 10.79 in Monaco. Jacia Sears in a now Melissa Jefferson and Julian Alfred in Eugene were against 1.5 headwind. Jacia Sears had run 10.85, but in the national event, which did not have a headwind, and Marie-Josée Talou was third in Eugene in the main race with 10.90. 200 meters, as we saw, very good performances by Mackenzie Long and Favor O'Feely in Memphis, 21.93 and 22 flat, respectively. Over 400 meters in Monaco, Marilady Paulino had to dig really hard to overtake U.S. youngster Alia Butler, 49.06 to 49.09. And in Eugene on 5 July, Sydney McLaughlin had run in 49.43. 1,000 meters, we already spoke about the race in Monaco, won by Nelly Chepchirchir, who moves to number 4 in the all-time list, over Addison Wiley, whose area record takes her to number 8 in the all-time list, and Jessica Hull with 2:30.96, also an area record. 1500, fabulous race in Eugene, 3:48.68 world record for Faith Kipyegon, worth 1,298 points. Behind her, Diribe Welteji, 3:51.44, moves to number 8 in the all-time list. Then we have 4 other ladies under 3:57, Jessica Hull, Georgia Hunter Bell, Nikki Hills, and Sinclair Johnson. Very good marks for all of them. 5,000 meters in Eugene, of course, was another fabulous race. 13:58.06 world record for Beatrice Chebet, 14:01.29 for Agnes Chebet-Ngetic, who moves to number 3 in the all-time list, and 14:04.41 for former world record holder Gudaf Segai. 3,000 meter steeplechase at Pre-Classic, we saw very, very good race of great depth. 3:45.25 for Winfred Yavi, that's worth 1,282 points. 3:48.71 for Faith Cherotic, and 3:51.77 for Perus Chemutai, while behind them 3:59.46 for Nora Geruto and 3:59.90 for Sembo Almayo in her first year as a senior. 100-meter hurdles, 12.32 for Akera Nugent in Eugene, just 200ths below her seasonal best. 12:32 also in Memphis for Alicia Johnson. And Megan Tapper, she's been having a great comeback season. She had already clocked 12.34 in Kingston. She repeated that mark into a 1.1 headwind in Monaco. In Eugene, Tobia Musan had run 12.38, and in Monaco, Ditaji Kambunji 12.43. And Alicia Johnson, as we saw, also had a windy 12.27 in Memphis. 400-meter hurdles, Femke Boll was the first to dip under 52 seconds this year with 51.95, and behind her, Dalila Mohammed at 35, clocking 52.58. Anna Cockrell, third in 52.91. Long jump, in Eugene, Tara Davis Woodhull equaled the 7:07 world lead, which Malaika Mihambo had set indoors in February. Over the steeplechase, in the shot put, as we saw, Chase Jackson was just 1 centimeter behind her national record with 20 meters 94, ahead of Sarah Mitten, 20 meters 39, and Jessica Schilder, 20 meters 39 in Monaco. Discus, another great mark over 70 meters for Valerie Allman in Eugene. Hammer throw, a very good 77.88 season best for world champion Cameron Rogers in Eugene. So best performances of the fortnight came from the 2 world records. Faith Kipyegon in the 1500 is worth 1,298. Beatrice Chebet in the 5,000 is worth 1,286. And then The third is Winfred Yavi, whose mark in the steeplechase is worth 1,282. And the top five is completed by Agnes Chebet in the 5,000 meters, 1,280 points, and Iribe Welteji in the 1,500 with 1,275. Best women's performance of the year remains the area record by Valerie Allman in Ramona in April, and the two world records set in Eugene are now the number 2 and number 3 marks of the year, with Winfred Yavi close on their heels. So let's look now at under 20 and under 18 athletes, as there were some really great performances over the past fortnight. So starting with the under 20s, we mentioned Gout in Monaco with 20.10. Now Gout, of course, co-leads the season's list with 20.02, which he had set in Ostrava. Over 400, we mentioned the 44.10 world under 18 best by Quincy Wilson, which moves him also to number 2 in the under 20 all-time list. In the mile in Eugene, Australia's Cameron Myers had clocked 3:47.50, which is just 0.02 seconds off his indoor world under 20 record. Over 10,000 meters, Binyam Mehari's mark in Eugene, 26:43.82, is higher than the number 3 on the all-time list, but Mehari already has the world under 20 record from last year. 3,000 meter steeplechase, Edmond Serem with 8:04.00 moves up to number 5 in the under 20 all-time list. Over the 110 hurdles, the senior height, there was a very good mark by Cuba's Kendry Menendez, who with 13.28 equals the best performance of the season by China's Chen Yuanzhang, and also moves into equal number 4 on the under 20 all-time list. That mark was set on 15 July in Brescia in Italy. In the long jump, another Cuban, this time at home in Camagüey, jumped 8 meters 34 and moves to number 3 on the under 20 all-time list. Over the now the hammer throw has been all about Hungary's Armin Szabados. He in the with the senior implement, he had already thrown 78.06 in May, and on 28 June he threw 76.35, and on 5 June he had thrown 75.41. So really exceptional performances by Szabados. And with the 6 kilo weight, he already had 85.21 and 82.93. And in Szolnok in Hungary, he threw 81.02. So really fabulous season by young Armin Szabados. Over the 5,000 meters race walk, very good performance in Rades in Tunisia by home athlete Ryan Cherny with 19.17.50, which moves him to number 7 in the under 20 all-time lists. Among the women, the 1,500 in the last 2 weeks has been all about Saron Berhe of Ethiopia. She ran 3:57.72 in Eugene, moving to number 7 in the under 20 all-time lists. And she had already run in 4:01.41 in Paris on 20 June. Over 5,000, new name, at least for me, in Eugene Aleshin Baweke, 1431.94, moves to number 3 in the all-time list. And behind her, with 1443.29, Mekedes Alemshete, that would be number 14 equal, but she already has number 8 from last year. 3,000 meter steeplechase, 906.88 for Alemnat Walle of Ethiopia, who moves to number 5 in the under 20 all-time list. And here there's a really interesting result in the 4 by 100 meters by Switzerland. Now, it's labeled as Switzerland under 20. They clocked at 44.07 in Mannheim in Germany on 29 June. But all 4 athletes were born in 2008. So it's actually an under 18 team. And in fact, it is listed by World Athletics in the under 18 all-time list. So, talking about under 18, let's move now to the top under 18 marks. And here we have to look at a full month of performance from 17 June to 15 July. There's a performance which is not in the World Athletics list on 19 June in Philadelphia at the New Balance Nationals, 10.19 for Zamari Sanders of the US, and Japan's Sorato Shimizu equaled that mark in Tokyo on 4 July. So they both moved to number 8 equal on the under 20 all-time list. Over the 400, we mentioned the World Under 18 best by Quincy Wilson on 5 July. He had also clocked 45.37 in Philadelphia on 21 June, which is better than the number 18 on the all-time list, but he already had number 1. 800 meters, Cooper Lutkenhaus has been producing very good performances, both indoor and outdoor. And in Eugene, with 144.45, he moves to number 14 in the under 18 all-time list. Over the 2,000 steeplechase, now 2,000 steeplechase is not run very often, but there's a 531.96 World Under 18 all-time best for Brian Kipto in Nairobi on 20 June. In Poland, Michal Gadius had run in 5:36.04, which moves him to number 2 in the under 18 all-time list. Back to Nairobi, second placed Emmanuel Someki Lemiso with 5:36.88 moves to number 3. And still in Nairobi, but further behind, 5:32.28 for Jairus Kipkorir moves him to number 12 in the under 18 all-time list. Then there's other performances by Michal Gadus, Pere Mas with 2 performances, 5:44.32 and 5:44.63. Now, something is strange here. Tilastopaya does not have the marks by the Kenyan athletes in Nairobi, nor does it have the performances by Spain's Pere Mas. 110 hurdles. South Africa's Fenyo Midjen has had a fabulous season with very good performances, but he did even better, clocking 12.91 on 28 June in Potchefstroom and moves to number 2 in the under 18 all-time list. And there's also a very good mark, just slightly above 13:03 by Jamaica's Marquise Page on 29 June in Kingston. That was the nationals. And he moves to number 5 in the under 18 all-time list. 400-meter hurdles. Italy's Diego Mancini with 50.49 moves to number 19 on the all-time list. In the pole vault, there's a mark by the USA's Eric Rose, 5:41 in Pflugerville, Texas, which is not yet on the World Athletics list, and that would be number 18 equal on the under 18 all-time list. In the 10,000 meters race walk, 39:46.78 for Nitin Gupta. Now, he had already run an excellent mark over the 5,000 meters race walk. Now, that would be number 2 on the under 18 all-time list. But it's strange because while the mark is on the World Athletics seasons list, it's not on the all-time list. So we'll have to figure it out. Among the women, now here, Nathalie Dumas, she ran 51.14 in Philadelphia on 21 June. World Athletics has her in the under 20s, but with no birth date. Tila Stopaya has a full date of birth for her, and the year is 2008. So I'll go with Tila Stopaya and include her in the under 18 list. So that would be number 8 on the under 18 all-time list. 800 meters. We've spoken a lot already about Japan's Rin Kubo. She was just over 2 minutes twice in May, and at the Japanese championships, she dipped below that barrier with 1:59.52 and moves to number 5 in the under 18 all-time list. On 12 July in Watford in Great Britain, Shakira King with 2:00.95 moves to number 16 on the under 18 all-time list. 5,000 meters in Eugene, 14:56.34 for Ethiopia's Marta Alemayo is better than number 9 on the under 18 all-time list, but she already has the number 2 mark from last year. 400 hurdles. Again, I'm going with Tila Stopaya and putting Nathalie Dumas in the under 18, 55.99 on 20 June in Philadelphia, which would be number 5 on the under 18 all-time list. Good mark also for Estonia's Ildika Inkeri Moser, 4:41 in the pole vault, places her now number 9 in the under 18 all-time list. In the long jump, Sydney Johnson of the USA, who's born in 2010, 6:54. That would be number 13 equal on the under 18 all-time list. And she also has a windy 6:70. That was a really strong wind, 3.4 meters per second on 12 July in Chula Vista. In shot put, 18 with the 3 kilos implement, 18:83 for Chen Xinyao, moves to equal number 7 in the under 18 all-time list. In the discus, Ma Chen Yi, also from China, with the senior implement, 58.97, moves to number 13 in the under 18 all-time list. In the hammer throw with the 3 kilo implement, Polina Zherozhinska of the Ukraine, 71 meters, 0.61, is better than number 15 on the all-time list, but she already has number 8. And in the relay, we have already spoken about the Swiss quartet, all aged under 18, 44:07, Timea Rankel, Senia Buri, Karina Celia Stetter, and Mara Schwitter, who moved to number 3 on the under-18 all-time list. I love that. Switzerland as a new powerhouse in the sprints. And they had already run 44.80 on 7 June, which was then number 7 equal on the under-18 all-time list. So that's it for the review of the top performances of the last fortnight. And now I'd like to highlight some cool athletics news. Now, it's not exactly fresh off the press, although for some reason it's been circulating on social media in the past week, as the exploits of Diane Flash Friedman date from almost 4 years ago, but are still impressive. On 15 August 2021, aged 100, Friedman broke 2 Masters over 100 world records in the 100 meters with 36.71 into a 1.6 headwind, and in the 200 with 1 minute 29.78, also into a headwind, though lighter, 0.5 meters per second. Now, Diane had started running at 70, but almost 10 years later, she lost her husband and lost her interest in competing. At 95, after 17 years, Diane started training again and went on to her peak achievement when, at the Michigan Senior Olympics, she broke those 2 Masters over 100 records, plus an American record in the javelin. Now, to think that I chickened out of running the 800 meters media race at the European Team Championships last month, I should be ashamed, because Diane had not even started competing at my age. So I have to have a rethink. Now, running 100 and 200 at the age of 100 is amazing, but Fauja Singh was even more impressive, as at 100 years old, he ran a marathon. That was in October 2011 in Toronto, when he completed the course in 8 hours 11:0. 8 years earlier, in 2003, Singh had set his PB on the same course with 5 hours 40. Singh, who was born in Beas Pind, Punjab, in India in 1911, moved to Britain in 1995 after the death of his wife and son, and later became a citizen. He started running even later than Diane Friedman, at 89, and in his first London marathon knocked 58 seconds off the previous Masters over 90 record. 4 years later, in 2004, he was featured in an advertising campaign for Adidas alongside David Beckham and Muhammad Ali. Fantastic. Singh continued to run for 2 more years after his last Toronto Marathon, completing his 6th London Marathon in 2012 at age 101, as well as several 10K races in 2012 and 2013. Now, incredibly, as a child, Singh was far from athletic. He didn't walk until he was 5 years old, because his legs were thin and weak, and he could hardly walk long distances. Now, unfortunately, as he could not produce his birth certificate, which is a common issue in rural India, the multiple age category records he set could not be ratified, but that takes absolutely nothing away from his amazing achievements. Now, the latest news, however, is tragic, because last week on 14 July, aged 114, as he was visiting his native village, Singh was hit by an SUV whose driver didn't even bother to stop, and the athlete, named the Sikh Superman, succumbed to his wounds in hospital. His London-based running club and charity, brilliantly named Six in the City, said its upcoming events would be a celebration of Singh's life and achievements. Rest in peace, turbaned tornado Fauja Singh. So let's look now at upcoming events as we reach the end of our show. There are two age category events underway. The European Athletics Under-23 Championships began on 17 July in Bergen, and they conclude on Sunday. The African Under-20 and Under-18 Championships started on the 16th, and they also finish on Sunday in Abeokuta in Nigeria. Tomorrow is the London Athletics Diamond League meet before a long break in the series. It's also the Madrid meeting, and on Sunday, the Hero Street shot put in Athens. World University Games take place from the 21st to the 27th of July in Bochum in Germany. These are the dates for athletics. On the 23rd of July, Raiffeisen Austrian Open in Eisenstadt, Continental Tour Silver. 22 July, this is going to be really interesting. It's been moved a couple days earlier, Kenya trials for the World Championships. 26 to 27 July is the Balkan Championships in Volos in Greece. And 26 to 27 July is also the Wiesław Czapiewski Memorial Continental Events, Combined Events Tour Gold in Poland. Sunday, 27 July, also ISTAF Berlin. Then we have the trials, 31st July to 3 August, US trials for the World Championships. And from the 1st to the 3rd of August, national championships in many countries worldwide. 8th of August, PTS meeting in Banska Bystrica, Slovakia. That's a Continental Tour Silver, as is the Internationales Hochsprung meeting in Heilbronn, Germany, taking place on 9 and 10 August. 12 August, Istvan July Memorial moved to Budapest, Continental Tour Gold. 15 to 17 August, NACAC Championships in Nassau, Bahamas. And then we have this crazy series of Diamond League meets. I don't know who invented the calendar this year, but it's totally crazy. 16 August, Kamila Skolimowska Memorial in Chorzów. 2 Continental Tour Silver meets 16 August in Bern, 17 August in Miedźroże in Poland. 18 to 22 August, Junior Pan Am Games in Asunción, Paraguay. Then 20 August, Atletissima Diamond League meeting in Lausanne. 2 days later, Memorial Van Damme in Brussels, and 22 to 28, the Diamond League finals in Zurich. 31st of August is the Sydney Marathon, now part of the World Marathon Majors, also the Mexico City and Harbin Marathons. 7 September, World Athletics Continental Tour in Beijing, where a lot of the athletes competing in the World Championships will have a chance to test their shape. And then from the 13th to the 21st of September, it's the World Athletics Championships in Tokyo. So we're now at the end of the program, and it was great to review the amazing performances of the last 15 days. Thank you all for watching. See you in 2 weeks in Love Athletics to look together at the highlights, comments, and analysis of what's been happening in our sport over the past fortnight. Now, top action is expected at London Diamond League meeting, European Under-23 Championships, African under 18 and under 20 championships, and the Universiade, as well as other athletics meets. So, looking forward to watching and reviewing all that. In the meantime, take care and see you in 2 weeks on Love Athletics. Ciao.